What do you think art is?
Art is representation. It can be something literal, like flowers, or it could be a feeling when you like recreate stuff. So that's why it's so broad, I think. That's why almost anything can be art.
So if almost anything can be art, what can't be art?
If art is representation, I think that art's so anything that isn't representation, so you have to wonder like what isn't representation. Yeah, anything that's not representing anything.
What is something that doesn't represent anything?
I don't know. I guess everything kind of represents something, right? Everything is like in reference to something, like even the way you act, it comes from somewhere. One example may be a tree or like nature. Nature doesn't really represent anything, it's just there, right? We represent things, like the way I talk and the way I act comes a lot from my parents, so in a way you could say I'm representing my parents, but we represent nature, we paint trees and stuff and nature. Sometimes what happens, with the art industry, the people on top, they find some art that's like really cool, and then they recreate that in like a more institutionalized gallery setting, and then sometimes what can happen is it becomes sterilized a little bit. It happens with everything, with music and all kinds of art really. So that's why it's flowers in a vase wilting. When you try and force something, sometimes like the opposite happens of what you want, which happens in the art scene, and it also happens in law. There's the courts, and their whole thing is to try and enforce justice, right? It's the same thing, trying to like capture it, and put it in a bottle. It's confused, especially when it's the people's job, like with art, fancy art people's job, and if it's the judge's job, then it gets really confused when like your whole livelihood depends on it, and then it becomes less pure. Justice becomes diluted like that, and so yeah, that's what I was thinking, just the similarities between institutionalized art and law. So these paintings is called executive, judiciary and legislative, 3 branches of government.
Is law art?
I think it could be. How I hear some people talk about law, the whole history of it and the whole process and the whole this, like there's definitely something art-like. And if you think about the traditional word for art, how people use the word art, people talk about the art of doctoring, or like the art of carpentry. That's how people used to talk way back then, In Afrikaans, a dentist is like a tooth artist. That's more the traditional way of using the word art. But I guess as far as like fine art goes, that's something different then too. That's more just representation, I think. Because like what is a dentist representing?
Teeth.
Teeth, yeah.
Why did you decide to paint and do art?
Oh, I just love it. It's just so much fun.
Is there anything that you find as fun as painting?
Not fun in the same way. Yeah.
What makes painting different?
Just like zoning in, just all by myself. Just getting right into it, not thinking, nothing like it. Yeah.
Would you say you get into a flow state?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Have you experienced that with anything else?
Yeah, I guess the closest thing is when you're like hanging out with people, just really hanging out with friends and family and just having a great time. That's probably the most similar.
What do you think gets you into that flow state?
I don't know, that's an interesting... When you're in the flow state, everything just feels kind of automatic. You stop over-analysing stuff. You're just in there, just doing it. And stuff just works when everything just comes together, right? Perfectly, and you're just doing it. Yeah.
Is the flow state innately positive?
Oh, I don't know actually. I haven't thought about that actually. I guess it could be negative sometimes. You just get into those negative thought patterns, spiraling and stuff. Yeah, I guess I'm not too sure what the flow state is exactly. I mean, I know what it feels like, but I'm not sure if I have a proper like definition for it or anything.
Breaks you out of a positive flow state?
Oh, yeah, just thinking, really. Maybe when you're in the flow state, when you're just right in the present, and definitely thinking too much can take you out of it.
What book is it?
The Trial by Franz Kafka. A short like story inside the story. parable kind of, and it goes, there's this guy, he goes to get help from the law, so he packs up all these things and he sells a lot of stuff to get all this money to go and get help from the law, and then he gets there and then there's this big security guard outside. The guy says, I'm here to get some help from the law, and the security guard says, well, you can't come in just yet, you just have to wait here. So then the guy's just waiting there, and he keeps waiting, days, weeks, months, he's just waiting. He keeps asking, can I come in yet? The guy says, no, not yet. And he just keeps asking, and eventually he stops asking, and he's just sitting there waiting, for years, and he says, can I come in yet? And the guy says, you can try and come in without my permission, but just remember that there's a lot of other security guards in there who are way bigger than me and way scarier than me, but you can sit here. And then just keeps waiting, for years and years and years, and he's like losing all his money that he made up for it, and then eventually it's old, and the security guard can see that this guy is dying now. The security guard says, finally, I'm going to close the door now, because this door was only ever meant for you.